Islam, Islam, Islam. Brother Maurice Pennington Bay, one of the Moore's master students. And I got some more master students here with me. Of course, I got the brother Shay
Islam.
Ray Hill. And for the first time, I'm gonna introduce the world to one of the most underrated Moorish American Muslims within, this organization. I mean, it's kind of sinful, how this brother has kept himself out of the eyesight of the public, especially with the way that he be demonstrating. And for years, I've been blessed to bear witness to some of the coldest interpretations of the Prophet Noble Ali's lessons ever come from, our chairman over here at Temple Number Two, the eight that brother A. Griffin, one of the Prophet Noble Ali's most masterful students. Islam Moors, how y'all doing?
Islam, Moorish American Muslims, all is well, more. Blessed by my Father, God
Oh, it's
Allah, to
true.
be here in the
Islam.
presence of the Muslim, to teach.
All is well. All praise be to Allah. Honors to the Prophet Noble Ali.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Okay, so look, we ain't gonna even mince no steps. We ain't gonna cut no, we ain't gonna beat no bushes. That's one of the problems with the Moorish American, the Asiatics in America right now. Asiatics like to beat bushes. You know, my nigga versus my brother. I know for myself, it was one of the things that I discovered about how I ended up in such an unfavorable condition where I found myself sitting in prison for a long time. I chose my niggas over my brothers. I chose female dogs over my sisters. I chose
Mm-hmm.
female dogs over, the one who had committed herself to me, from day one. No signs, no symbols of betrayal. So I understand, how ones can do this thing, right? But I want to talk about, I just really want to take the time to really point out that it's something that we need to stop doing. We need to accept our own and be ourselves. Ain't that right?
Islam. Islam. Again, all praise be to Allah, honors to the Prophet. Indeed. And I just wanted to clarify, when we're talking about actual, titles given to mentalities at the end of the day. One, of course, representing the truth, while the other representing the falsehood.
That's
Um,
right.
you know, this was something that came across to me once when someone asked me to speak on this topic. I relayed my nigga to the lower self.
Mm-hmm.
And I found a parity between my brother as the higher self. And it's one thing to be called by these names, by these negative epithets such as nigger. It's a whole nother thing to fit the description.
Mm.
you know and our issue, way more than just being called these things, is representing the mindset. Because again, when we're talking about a nigga, we're talking about a falsehood. This is not something that man could truly be, because no one can change a man's decent nature unless his power is greater than that of the almighty creator, Allah himself. However, what we tend to do is name character, the detectable expressions of traits of a mindset. Those ofs, every time you hear that of, is talking about in connection with. So when we're talking about
Mm-hmm.
detectable expressions of traits of a mindset, bottom line is we're naming mindsets. And
Right.
one of the illest things is when we actually operate out of a mindset that is Nick,
Mm.
as opposed to brother or a friend to humanity, Islam.
Islam. Islam. What you think about that, Griffin? Here?
So,
Islam, Muslim. Praise Allah for the opportunity to be here. My brother say right here, master student, Maurice Penn the Bed. Mad nigga. Some feedback going on too, Muslim. My
um,
nigga versus my brother
yeah,
is the opposite sides of the coin are truth versus falsehood is self versus self unknowingly because I am a brother, we are brother, but somewhere along the line, that nigga came into my life
Hmm.
through the teachings of the evil spirits that was moving that the prophet talked about because he said every evil spirit is moving. Then the next word is they. So
That's
he
right.
took the spook out of the spirit. So they are people. So between these
Hmm.
school system and this gangster rap music and
Islam.
the street corner is where I learned my nigga from.
Mm-hmm.
How else did I get it? I didn't know what my nigga was. I knew what a
Islam.
brother was though.
That's right.
I'm a brother. I have two little sisters. I have two brothers
Islam.
sharing the state with me. I don't see y'all
Islam.
because I'm no different now. Islam. But at the
Islam.
time, I pay attention to the word or the abbreviation verses. So that means there's a conflict going on. And the
That's right.
conflict going on where? Inside of myself. I don't blame anybody for this but myself. Now, since I've come to the teachings of the prophet, and I learned now I am brother E. Griffin. This is brother Penitent Bay, and this is my brother Sabre Ill, and we dropped in my niggas because there's no
Mm-hmm.
such thing because they are the most disrespectful terminology that you can call yourself or one of your so-called brothers, Islam. So
Islam.
at this time now, it is now my brother working with my brother. Islam, praise Allah.
Islam. You know,
Islam.
the Prophet Noble
Islam.
Drew Ali, he taught the old Moors, in the 102s, a definition for this term nigga, key 86 in the 102s. It is an animal that has four legs, right? It is a beast of burden. It's a horse. It's a donkey. It's something that somebody else used to turn over soil, to carry, packages and stuff like that. So the Prophet Noble Ali tells us that we are not, to be someone else's beast of burden. We are not to bear the burdens for other people. We are to toil, happily for the uplifting of our own. And then when you look at the definition of the word nigga, a lot of people like to say, well, I said N-I-G-G-A. I didn't say, N-I-G-G-E-R, like just because your vernacular or the way you use the English language sucks, that makes a difference. Okay. Well, the word nigga is a
Where do we
derogatory
get that
term
from? What is
used real talk, Mo. This word nigga is a derogatory term used to
that?
identify somebody who has been politically, socially, and economically deprived. Okay, so now if you all right with being called the nigga, coming from where we come from, let me tell you about something that I know that you're not all right with. Ain't there one of us all right with being a punk? Ain't there one of us all right with being a sucker? Okay, and a nigga is by nature a punk and a sucker. They like the lowest form of punk and sucker because they have been deprived. Somebody has taken something from them. That's what it means to be deprived. I walked up and I shook you down. I ran your pockets and I took what you got. Now, are you all right with that? I don't think so. Especially when what I have taken from you is your political power. Okay. Now, political power is the power to involve yourself in the way that you are governed because you're going to be governed. Okay. You're either
That's
going to
right.
govern yourself or you're going to be governed by somebody else. No matter what the case is or the matter, you are going to be governed. Now, you should have power in choosing and deciding how you are governed, having a say so in it. But niggas have no political power. All right. Niggas have no social power. You do not get to decide or choose who your friends are. Okay? They're going to put you in the ghetto. They're going to put a crop of humans or subhumans inside of the ghetto with you and make you choose to associate yourself in every way. Do business with them, go to sleep with them, wake up with them, eat with them. You don't get to decide. They're going to stick you in a prison and make it even worse. They're going to put you in the graveyard and make your death detestable. Okay? But this is the consequence of being a nigga, not being able to make these decisions for yourself. And then all of us, we love money, right? Everybody want to talk about chasing the bag, getting the bag, not fumbling the bag, and all that demonstration they believe is involved with money, right? So how about you are economically deprived? So now, even though you make money, we're going to allow for you to make money, but we're not going to allow for you to have any say so in how the money is spent. You don't get to determine how we issue out your tax dollar. You're just going to pay the tax. Okay, this is the burden of the nigga, Mo. Okay, so now the only way that be a nigga is they have to willfully, intentionally make the choice to accept this slave name. Because the Prophet Noble Ali said that this is a name that was given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779. So you have to accept this slave mark, all right? Because free people have inalienable rights, rights that cannot be taken from them and rights that they cannot give up, but niggas have no rights, none whatsoever. So you have to decide not to even be a man when you say that you are a nigga, okay? So now, the only thing that's worse than that is to know this and then go out to choose to associate with niggas before you choose to associate with your own brothers. That's disgusting.
That's right.
Islam.
You know, one of the things that's peculiar with this, like you said, you mentioned about having pride in this, right? There's a sense of foolish pride with this. You know, this term nigga, you know, because we'll throw an A on it or something. And, you know, when we have a habit of doing this, we're very resilient people. And we have a habit of trying to make the best out of a situation. And there are some situations you have to understand that you need to come out from underneath of in totality. But with us having that habit, you know, there are a lot of us who have, you didn't just choose a title like nigga, because I mean, if we but knew, man was the highest title. Man represented the vice script, the administrative agent of the great God Allah himself here on the plane of things made manifest. Coming into a knowledge of the value of such a duty, you know what I'm saying, the value of such a nature. You know, we had something impressed upon us from a mental standpoint through the traumas that were, you know, in connection with physical slaveries. And, you know, a lot of times what people don't realize is you know, while you're pretending to be proud of nigga, of this title, this actually was something you just found yourself underneath. And since you didn't necessarily possess the understanding of what was necessary in order to institute the changes, in order to, you know, start unfolding into the light of truth, we find ways of becoming proud of the darkness, the obscurity of it all. We find ways, you know, of indulging in the sin, the falsehood, as if that's the truth. And, you know, it has to be understood that when we're saying these things about this term nigga, because I mean, listen, I'm gonna tell you this, Pennington Bay, you know, teaching in the dismal crypts, you can only imagine what happens when you call brothers from all walks of life, all different types of organizations and things of that nature, and many different hoods across America. You know, we're not very neighborly, so I guess we accept the term hoods, right, as opposed to neighborhoods. But and imagine me standing in front of these 150, 200, 250 men and saying, and starting off a topic like this and saying, first and foremost, there ain't no such thing as a real nigga.
That's right.
I don't. All praise be to Allah that it you know, it all went well. But this is the thing, because you know, it's an oxymoron to say the word real and the word nigga in the same sentence, because you know, real speaks of the truth and nigga speaks of the falsehood. Nigga is a derivative, before we start playing with these words and just making things positive, you know, and then accepting it like it doesn't mean that when I say it, which is fantastic foolishness. Nigga is a derivative of Negro, or if you would say it in more in a different tongue, it'd be negro, meaning, you know, which is speaking of black. And the Prophet Noble Drew Ali educates us and lets it be known that, you know, black, according to science, means deaf. So the problem isn't with the word. The problem isn't with the word Negro. The problem isn't with the word black. But when you say I am, and you put something like that behind it, you know what I mean? Now the falsehood is a manifest. You know what I mean? And one of the greatest manifest not only represents a slave title or a dead state of mind, it also represents a mentality that was approved of by slaveholders. While you think you're doing something, you're actually acting in the interests of those who are yet slaveholders. Okay. And it was in our interests, of course, to be pleasing to slaveholders at one time, just for the sake of protecting our lives. But now it's a new era of time now. And now it's demanded that we actually recognize who we really are and be ourselves. And you know, I know it may upset a few people, or maybe more than a few, but you cannot be a nigger. There's no way. There's no way to be a nigga any more than a duck can be a dog. You know, there's no problem with a dog, and there's no problem with a duck. But I'm gonna tell you what: if a duck walks through the door and starts barking, the first thing that's gonna happen is everybody's gonna be in awe. Next, the duck is gonna make the news, and then after that, most likely the duck is gonna lose his life.
That's right.
Because he's gonna lose his life just in the investigation, just to get to the bottom of the barking duck. Death is going to become
it's love.
You know, so
it's love.
What you got for that, A. Griffindale?
Want to lose his life quick too. Say where you
you quick.
Yeah, duck gonna lose his life quick. The barking duck. If I don't have nothing to do that with, I'm up out of there.
Barking, yeah.
Man.
Yeah, he's not. They're not gonna say he is amazing. They're gonna say he was amazing.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
he was.
My nigga versus my brother.
Islam.
This is a sick. Okay. Condition our people in to even consider the fact that you might be somebody's nigga. What type of mindset does a grown man or woman have to sit there and say and wake up and say, "What's up, my nigga? I'm a real nigga. I'm a gangster nigga. I'm your nigga. You my nigga. We niggas." I know what I'm talking about. They always do that too. I hear that. Get the semantics, y'all. Man, we niggas. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
That's right.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali was ordained by his Father God Allah. Why? To be ordained is because it was a reason, particular specific reasons why a prophet had to get sent to a certain specific people. And I think these specific people, the niggas, the Negroes, the blacks, the colors, the Ethiopians, the Afro-Americans, the African Americans, the gangsters, the convicts, all this falls underneath. What's the difference? What's the difference? But the spelling.
That's right.
So if you have a nation of people that descend from, like our brother Pennington, basically our most ancient ancestors, our Father God Allah, and they're down here on the manifestive plane, calling themselves out of their name, and they are the seeds of their father. A nigga. Is my father God Allah
right.
a nigga? I don't think so. The answer is no.
Absolutely.
So how can his seed come an image of my father?
Islam.
So how can I be something
That's
my
right.
father is not or didn't ordain me to be? See, that's when free will comes in. That's when actions of the soul come in. Being thinking, reasoning, willing, and understanding. Man is free to think. But what is that man thinking about?
That's right.
See, if your parents, your mother and your father think they're nigga, the child's by default going to be a nigga. And that's the underlying problem we've been having in our society. Mothers, fathers, and grandmas, we've been descending from lines of thoughtless niggas from the past generations and centuries, from the past back until now.
Yeah.
But in
Absolutely.
1886, enough was enough. It had to be. Because if he wouldn't have came, we would have had a whole race, a whole manifestations of niggas. And when would it have stopped? Never. So Allah so loved us so that he didn't make a nigga made manifest. He made a brother made manifest.
That's right.
To show us how a brother
Islam.
and what a brother looks like, smells like, eats like, acts like, and thinks like. And our Prophet
right.
Noble Jew Ali.
That's right.
He was I opened up Sunday school today and I read the Holy Attic Covenant of the Asiatic Nation. The Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation, not the nigger nation. See, these of Allah have divine and holy names. Take that child away from their father, their mother, their family. Take that child name away. I.e. nigger. And you have to get the child early. You have to put the child in what I call the European food system. Somebody know it as the public school system. And you tell that child that they are niggers, slave boat niggers, nothing nigger. This is your nationality. This is what it's going to be, and you know better than what I tell you are. So the child grows up by default with no brotherly love. My nigga versus my brother. A community and schoolyards, school buses full of young niggas. See, and being a nigga, you are what you think you are. So if you think you're a nigga, now what? If I think I'm a killer, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to kill some people.
That's right.
If I think I'm a nigga, what am I supposed to do? Nigga stuff. Islam. Niggas don't go to the library.
Islam.
Niggas don't read Holy Qurans and motorcycles of America.
That's right.
Niggas don't think.
Islam. And it's
niggas don't enforce the law, divine instruction. Niggas do what you tell niggas to do.
Islam.
So what the pale skin European Slav been telling niggas
That's
to
right.
do? Pick up this dope, pick up these guns, whore your women out, and kill each other. Islam? My nigga, my father. I get it. So Islam.
Islam. Islam. If I could, Brother Pennington Bay, I just wanted to camelback off of that. A lot of people, make sure we understand something here, because there's somebody somewhere saying, no, that's not true, because my nigga goes to the library. My nigga go to school. My nigga's a good father. Or my nigga has been very helpful, and this and that and the other. Let me make sure we understand something here. Man is not the body nor the soul. He is the spirit and a part of Allah. And spirits travel by thought. So, since you can't ever truly be a nigga, but rather we're talking about certain states of mind, let's make sure we understand something. While you are in the state of mind called nigga, you ain't going to the library.
No.
But we can cross these borderlines at will.
That's right.
According to how we use our will, we cross different states of mind, just like according to how you use a gas pedal or the brake pedal, you can cross from New York to Maryland, from Ohio to what have you. You see what I'm saying? We cross states of line based off of our will. So when you find somebody acting out of love, truth, peace, freedom, okay, and like the brother A. Griffin L. mentioned when he said they don't go to the library, freedom is in your education. So a lot of time when you're in a nigga state of mind, you're not, there is no such thing as seeking education. However, since we move by thought, when you decide that you're going to do something like educate yourself, you actually cross a boundary line into another state of mind. Okay, and that's when you are in a brother state of mind. So let's make sure it's understood here. For a lot of listeners that are trying to own nigga and they want to debunk it by saying, no, my nigga done did some good things. No, you don't get nothing good from a nigga. The thing is, when you are being good, when you are using your power known as good, aka being useful to yourself, your brother man, your sister woman, and or the national treasures that we call children, when you are doing that, you have crossed out of the realm called nigga into the realm called brotherhood. Okay, but since we are so various and wavering, we cross that borderline at will. What did Charlie Murphy say about what was his name? Man does this sometimes in thought. He crosses that line. And so I wanted to make sure we understand that. And another thing is when we're talking about nigga, we have to be very careful because when you come out of your mouth and you say that I am, and you put nigga after that, the name is a proclamation of your nature. The name is a proclamation of your origin. You proclaiming your name, and not just by word, but in deeds as well, is an actual worship and honor to the creator of you. So when we are proudly professing to be niggas, who makes niggas? If Allah makes man, who made nigga? And when you're proclaiming to be that, this is in thoughts, words, and deeds, this is who you're honoring. Be very careful, as the brother Maurice Pennington Bay said. Nigga is a name given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865. So when you're proudly proclaiming to be that, who are you actually bowing to and giving honors to? And if you're honoring and bowing to slaveholders, there's no way you could be honoring and bowing to the great God, because the heart of man cannot tend at once to too many things. Islam, I yield.
Yes, man. Morris just said, y'all done said a whole mouthful, right? It's a whole lot to unpack with this Negro problem that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali has raised us up to solve. He raised us up to solve this problem of the Negro, right? So, for one, as we've been pointing out, people believe that, by changing the word or changing the dialect or the usage, that it does not have the same type of meaning. Okay. Well, the Supreme Court, they did not agree back in 1857. Back in 1857, they made a decision based upon all the derivatives of the nigga. They didn't give a freak if you was Negro, black, colored, nigga, or whatever you was. And this association with this type of slave mark, it has a lasting impact and effect on us today. That one of the ones who traveled with the Prophet Noble Drew Ali in his time, he wrote an essay called "What Shall We Call Him?" And what shall he call? What shall we call him? He pointed out that this is an act of European psychology. All of these different names that all mean the same thing and that all have the same standing in law. And why is it important to acknowledge the standing in law? Okay, because at the end of the day, when it comes to the enforcement of an individual's right to be an individual, it's all based upon your standing. Who are you in the first place? Okay, and it's been pointed out that you are who you say you are. I am. We in the Moorish Science Temple of America are not the only ones who know that man is a creator who creates his own, not only his own state of mind, but his own actual state of existence. Okay, you created yourself. I had a conversation with the Sheikh at Wazil last night. We talked for 5.5 hours. We spoke at length about this same exact subject that we're talking about today and how it's been an invasive issue inside of the Moorish Science Temple of America because Moors are doing nigger stuff. You can find some trifling and disgusting things happening right here at our own dining table where we sit down to eat. Because of the acceptance, the standard that has been decreased. See, niggas ain't got no standards. Let's take a look at this thing. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali, right? He said that money does not make the man. Character, free national standards and power make the man and the nation. Nigga ain't got no character. Nigga ain't got no standard. And the nigga ain't got no power. So in order for our enemies to weaken,
hold on,
weaken us because they don't want to compete.
Hold on now.
In order for our enemies to weaken us, they keep on propagating and helping to perpetuate. Okay, this identity crisis that we are suffering. That we are suffering because we got all types of niggas. You know, I don't want to, you know, I hate to offend anyone, but anytime you take it upon yourself to call yourself what you not, to identify with what you're not, you're bringing the Negro problem into your life. So for all of our young people, you know, be careful. Be careful in the streets. Be careful the way you click up and want to show love to one another. Okay? I want to show y'all something that happened in the Bible. Genesis chapter number 11. Everybody always talking about this Tower of Babel. You know, they want us to believe that Allah, you know, got upset with people because they were building a tower. Okay? With the learned and ingenious, he delighteth himself. So Allah ain't never got upset with man for building anything good. What the scripture actually says is that these individuals who were building this tower, the Tower of Babel in Shinar over in Mesopotamia, these individuals had decided to do what? Make a name for themselves. They wanted to make a name for themselves, but they already had a name. Read the scripture. It says the sons of God, the sons of men. This was their name. This is the name of the original people. This is the name that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought back to us. What does it mean to be a Moorish American? The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites. All right? And the Moabite means the children of the Father, the children of God, the seeds of the Father. Okay? But these ones wanted to make a name for themselves. And what did Allah do? It says that he was upset about that. So he confused their language, he confounded their language. So be very careful. Be very careful, young people. Be very careful how you click up and seek to show love to one another. Okay? Be careful, Asiatics of America, who say that you are Moorish Americans, while at the same time you're constantly splintering the house that Drew Ali built, trying to build all these various temples, trying to take a title for yourself, trying to make a name for yourself. Be very careful. Be very careful, Islam. Okay? My nigga versus my brother. I want to demonstrate how this impacted me personally. How it impacted me. I remember back in the year 2000. Back in the year 2000, I called a charge out there running the streets. I got caught up in the case and I had a whole lot of co-defendants. All right. I thought that these ones who every day called me nigga, called themselves niggas, and declared themselves the realest niggas. I thought that they were my brothers. These ones told me I
The
went to
realest
prison.
niggas?
We go the realest niggas. We gonna pay your bond, Mo. Tell your grandma to come pick up the money. So my grandmother went to go pick up the money, and later on that night I was bonded out. I'm like, yeah, my niggas got me out. Now I went down there and I got in the car and we was riding, and something just told me, I say, Grandma, I say, who brought you the money? She say, ain't nobody bring me no money. What? Ain't nobody bring you no money? Yeah, they had me out there waiting. I waited all day. Police riding by and all that. So the first I'm thinking like, man, we at war. We at war. These jokers done left my grandmama outside sitting in the car on the block. We at war. Strike number one. Still, okay, I'm gonna get the money, Grandma. They gonna give me the money. I'm gonna get the money. I'm gonna give it to you. So I see the brothers later on. You understand me? Hey, what's up with the well, Mo, you out already. Mo, you take care of that. Then I start seeing the Moors start going this way. I mean, not the Moors. I start seeing these ones going this way and going that way. And I realized, oh, they not my brothers. They are who they said they were. They told me that they was niggas. They told me that they felt like they was the realest niggas. And this is what the realest niggas do. The realest niggas ain't gonna be there for you. Like the brother said, they don't go to the library. They also don't give a freak about nobody but them. They barely give a freak about themselves. When we look at all of the drugs they consume, how they put their own lives in danger all the time, they don't care nothing about themselves. And yet and still, we would choose to keep company and do business and invest our own life and health. What the Prophet Noble Ali said about endangering oneself with the fool, you ain't got to be a fool. So anytime you choose a nigga
That's right.
over your brother, know that that has got to be the most foolish decision that you can make. Islam.
Islam. All praise be to Allah. I came up with something. I was hoping at the last second I came up with something, and it's a blessing to be on here again with the brother Noble A. Griffin L. And Morris Pennington Bay. What I wanted to do is maybe pose a statement to you, and then get the brothers, get your feedback on it, or maybe your own personal breakdown of the statement. So now, of course, this is on the spot. This is on the spot.
It's done.
All right, and so I'm basically going to just say a statement, and then maybe you tell me what's the first thing comes to your mind as far as a portion on it, and hopefully maybe even some of the people that are viewing, maybe in the comments, they can go ahead and give their portion on it as well. So the first thing, I guess I'm gonna go with the brother, the noble chairman, Noble A. Griffin L. And the first thing I'm gonna just say this: we're talking about my brother versus my nigga. And so I'm gonna say this here and then get your portion on that. My brother is a picky eater. My nigga will consume anything. My brother is a picky eater. My nigga will consume anything. I yield the floor. A. Griffin L.
That's the characteristics of a nigga. The users. Yeah, my brother is a picky eater. I mean, that's a natural effect of a natural person's eating habits. but the consumption or the engulfing of or swallowing of a whole community with destruction because you are selfish, because you're just chasing some fiat currency, or you have a dope habit and it's selfless, is different from eating habit and what's the word you use, brother? Consume.
That's right.
Then you said the word anything. The word you use. Well, you can get a nigga to do anything. You can get a nigga to consume anything. You said liquor, heroin, crack, false teachings, false hope, destruction, bad ideas,
Islam,
crack, false teachings, Islam, health, will consume my nigga versus my bro. A nigga will consume anything that's not conducive to the right things in life. He has consumed the state of mind of my nigga. And my nigga consumption of his state of mind, and in return, the curse that keeps on cursing, now he's consumed himself. With the nigga mentality, the nigga mind state, the nigga thought, the nigga determination, the nigga words, actions, and deeds. Which all equals failure, death, and destruction. Why? Let's turn on your daily news. Let's go outside of your neighborhood. Most of us still live in the projects, still live in the ghetto, still live in the slum. What's the first thing you see when you open up your door? Niggas. What are niggas doing outside? Smoking, drinking, cussing, disrespecting, consumption. Consumption of what, Brother A. Griffin? Consuming the decent neighborhood that could be or that once was with their nigga mentality, actions, and deeds. Even to the smallest things of just lowering the prices, the value of the real estate. Bringing all types of pale-skinned European in the neighborhood. Consumption. I like that word, consumption, over a picky eater. My nigga, my brother.
Islam.
Consumption. I like that word. Consumption. Blind warning by the prophet for the nation reads as thus. The citizens of all free national governments according to their national constitution, all of one family, bearing one free national name. Now I ask these niggas out there, what is your name? What is your family name that we bear, that you bear? What is the name of your God? What is your great grandmother's name? I don't think so-called nigga has an answer. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow on them.
That's right.
Islam. Now to all my so-called niggas out there, what is your free national name, my nigga? Since you so daggone real. Real me that. Oh.
Riddle me that.
All I heard is crickets. Oh, so that means if you don't give me an answer, that means you don't have one, my nigga. Oh,
That's
you
right.
don't have one? Well, I got some cotton over there for you, big nigga. I got this soap for you to mop your feet. Matter of
Mm.
fact, you owe me some money with some
He
interest.
cold blood.
Stand right here, nigga. Islam.
Yes.
What the nigga gonna do?
Islam.
What I tell the nigga to do? Niggas have masters. There's not a such thing without a nigga with a master. Not a master degree. A slave master. A slave holder. Islam. And this so-called nigga, since he wants to be a nigga and not a brother, he is his own slave master mentally. Because it starts with self. Islam. Allah,
Islam. Brother Maurice Pennington Bay. I definitely had to pick one out for you, brother. You know what I mean? Master student, but a master educator. All praise be to Allah. I had the honors of actually learning from Brother Maurice Pennington Bay in the Dismal Crypts. You know what I mean? So I wanted to pose this right here to you. My nigga is always down for whatever. My brother is always up for the challenge to be better. My nigga is always down for whatever. My brother is always up for the challenge to be better. Islam.
Islam. That's kind of easy for me, right? I remember I had a brother on the Vanguard staff. And I mean, the brother was cold. He was super cold with his hands. You know, he was awesome. He had awesome character. You know, he out of Washington D.C. Young brother, and he was, you know, he got into a situation with another guy, and y'all know how it is in the Crips. You know, a small thing can get real big, and it can be taken real far. So the other guy, he knew better than to try to to try to fight the more. The more was insisting upon, he wanted to fight this brother, but the brother he didn't want to fight. He knew that he didn't stand a chance. He wasn't willing to just take a beat down. So he was like, if we get these knives and work like that, and he had life, but the Mo ain't had but a couple years to the door. So he tell me, he like, man, whatever. If that's what he want to do, then it's whatever. But I told him, I said, no, I'm not going to allow for you to do that. And he like, man, Mo, man, I'm accepting all call outs. Like, Mo, I can't duck no smoke. Like, I can't duck no smoke. If the dude want to see me, man, if he want to see me, I don't care if he want to see me with the knife, however he want to see me, I'm gonna have to see him. He like, man, I ain't going for nothing. I ain't going for nothing. And I told him right then and there. I say, don't you ever say that to me again. You say if you make that statement to me one more time, I'm gonna sit you down and I ain't never gonna stand you back up. I said, because if you do go, you gonna go for something. I say, because we Moorish Americans. You understand me? The Prophet Noble Ali warned us about sacrificing the group of Moors. If you're gonna sacrifice a group of Moors, then you better make sure that you sacrifice them for a reason. And if you're gonna sacrifice yourself, you better make sure that you sacrificing for a reason, something that's worthy of what you're giving up. See, and this is the way that real men and women and brothers, this is the way we think, whereas niggas don't give a freak about themselves. Everyday lives is being thrown away over nothing, things that have no value. The graveyard is full of people who lost their lives over things that ain't no weight. If you multiply that thing that they lost their life for by 1,000, it would not equal in value the life that was lost. But niggas don't understand the value of the self. They don't understand. They don't get it. They don't understand the value of those things that come with being a brother, a husband, a wife, a sister, a friend. They don't understand the value in that. They don't understand how our nation is composed of, like the Sheikh pointed out to me last night. Sheikh Edwazir, honest to him, bands of society. The society is constituted of many bands. And what do bands do? They work to create a sound in harmony with one another, whereas each one may be playing a different instrument. Each one of them may be singing a different note, but they come together in harmony to create this music. Islam. So this is important, when you start talking about, what one is willing to, to go for, and what they willing to give up, and what they willing to sacrifice. Niggas are throw their lives away over or for a little bit of nothing, for nothing at all. Islam, Islam, Islam. Praise Allah for the master students.
Islam,
Man,
Islam,
governors.
Islam. Praise Allah more, just giving, just to go over some stats about real niggas, right?
Yeah.
The state of Georgia in the past 10 years has spent over, said, tens of millions in this YSL trial, right? And we know in this YSL trial there has been so-called real niggas. They called themselves real niggas. They allow other people to call them and refer to them as real niggas. And now we're looking at a trial of real niggas, and the state of Georgia is bent on spending the taxpayers' money on making sure that the realest of the real niggas in Georgia spend the rest of their lives in prison. It's crazy. So this whole real nigga mentality, there's only two places for you. That's either in prison or in the grave. There's no other place for real niggas. They are making an example because, see, this trial is the test run. If y'all don't forget that they have Cop City that they're still building for all the real niggas in America to be able to be housed in. Islam, and with that, I yield.
Islam. See how the governors that showed up on the scene.
The governor. Listen. She said, listen, she come kicking in the doors, kicking over the tombstones of real nigga, black and colored.
Absolutely.
All praise be to Allah. If it's okay with the brother, I definitely wanted to ask the grand governess, maybe get her thoughts on the build here. Right here, I got something to say. My nigga has always wanted me to be like him or her. My brother has always wanted me to be myself. My nigga has always wanted me to be like them. My brother has always wanted me to be myself.
Well, Brother Shay Real, Shay Ray L, Baltimore, we know. In Baltimore, we call that the crab barrel mentality. We used to knowing about the crab barrel mentality coming from Baltimore, but that's really what it is. It is I want you to be like me because when I fall, I want you to fall. Right. Versus my brother, when I fall, I want you to continue to stand. I want you to keep going. I want you to keep moving. I want you to keep prospering. I want you to keep progressing. But when it's, my nigga, yeah, I want you to do the time with me because you my nigga. It's no reason for both of us to one of us to succeed and both of us, are doing it together. That's the difference between the whole real nigga movement versus, my brother, my sister. Islam.
Islam.
The whole real nigga movement versus my brother, my sister.
Islam. Brother Noble A. Griffin L. Islam. My nigga always questions my evolution. My brother only questions my stagnation. My nigga always
Well, nigga is
questions my
not evolving himself. Islam, a nigga has devolved to the lowest state of a human being existence. Islam, he's lower than worm doo-doo. Islam. Because the nigga going but to the cemetery, to the prison. What does he know about evolution anyway? Islam? That nigga versus my brother.
Islam. That boy say he's lower than
he's a dead man walking.
Islam.
Without the death row unit. He's doing death row outside of the penitentiary. What type of fool is this? Islam, Lord, you have no sincerity. You have no honor. You have no virtue, my nigga. Do you even know what these words mean? I spoke about that library. You're proving me true, nigga. You don't know what the words mean. So, sincerity. Let's get this correct. It's the quality of being free from pretense, deceit, or hypocrisy. You hypocritical, deceitful nigga. So you got to talk to niggas with the energy that they give you, see? They understand this thing. What is pretense? An attempt to make something that is not the case appear true. Well, you're not a nigga, though. You're not a nigga. Why are you trying to make that true? Islam? You have no virtue, man, nigga. That is your behavior showing high standards and moral quality. But you are a dumb nigga. I will give you that. If anything, you a dumb nigga. Well, Allah loves you so much. He clothed his love with flesh so that you still will understand, man, nigga. Still a chance for you to repent from your sins, my nigga. Out of all that niggerdom that you're doing, Allah still has the most mercy and the most compassion and the most love for you.
That's right.
So, once again, let's go to chapter 25. Go to the covenant of the Asiatic nation, my nigga. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care. And the breast of one mother has given you suck. You got kicked out of father's house.
That's right.
You wanted to be something other than you continue to be. So now you're going through all this mischief in the streets. As a child to get kicked out of their parent house goes through problems. They wanted to be grown, wanted to be their parents. It didn't work out for them like that. Now life is life. Islam. So now it's time to come back home to Father. When you want to come back home to Father, you have to ask for forgiveness.
That's right.
You have to ask for forgiveness. Bow your knees, bow your head. I don't care how you got to do it. Go inside yourself and ask yourself, who am I? What am I doing with my life? Why are these people looking at me like this? Why are we calling ourselves these names? I don't want to do this anymore. All I have is hurt and pain and destruction and death day after day after day. You have to be sick and tired of this. I know you're sick and tired of this, my nigga. But you still have a brother in A. Griffin Hill. You still have a sister in the Grand Governor's Cake of Hill. You still have a brother in Maurice Pennington Bay. You still have a brother in Shea Ray Hill. We're extending our hands to you. Grab hold unto our hands and come with us, your brothers, because your niggas mean you know justice. But first, you have to do your self-justice. You realize that you're not a nigga. Islam, I hear the flow.
Islam. God. Praise Allah for that.
Islam.
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 Penance Bay.
Straight up.
If I may.
Getting it in.
If I may, Morris Penance Bay. This one right here, brother. It says, my nigga has a price. My brother is free. My nigga has a price. My brother is free.
And hey, listen, Mo. That right there. That right there, Mo. I hope the world listen. If y'all don't hear no other part of the podcast, I hope you hear this part of the podcast because that nigga, he got a price, and if you don't pay it, he'll take it from anybody. It doesn't matter. And he's selling everything. He's selling everything. He's selling everything from gym shoes, dope, coke, crack to himself, herself. It don't matter. Everything is for sale. Anything for sale, whatever you want in exchange for money. I used to say, I ain't gonna say I used to say, but I realized I can't even say it exactly at what point, but I remember when it started to unfold to me, you know, when ones is out there in the streets and they commit these robberies, because a lot of us, this is how we say we take care of ourselves. We pull our guns and we take other people's stuff. So you rob somebody, you take 20, $30,000 from them in cash, you take another 10, $20,000 from them in jewelry or whatever. And I'm embellishing. This is, you hitting a good lick, you start getting these type of numbers, right? But look at what you risking, man. Look what you risking. Now, on the flip side of that, I seen guys, pick up something so small as another person's radio when I was in prison. And these dudes, they cold-blooded killers, cold-blooded murderers. And they turn around and look and they radio gone. And the only thing that I started to think was somebody just risked their life over something that they probably gonna go and trade for $5 or $10. $5 or $10. Now, how far is that $5 or $10 going to go? So all of these niggas, when they exchanging, when they selling this stuff, you go and you rob somebody, you kill somebody, you get you a bag of dope, in the next 5 minutes, the bag of dope is gone. But the enemy lasts forever. The enemy that you made, they last forever. And it done got even worse than that. See, now we got this social media era where people is doing anything and saying anything for likes and loves. A whole lot of y'all are actually risking y'all life for a like or for a love. And I bear witness because some of these guys have disrespected me. I might post something and somebody don't like it or whatever the case, so they see it as an opportunity to get themselves a like or a love. And the truth of the matter is, you better be careful with me. You better be careful with me. And while at the same time, you will never say that like or that love was worth it. You will never say that. And if it wasn't for the great God, praise Allah, for the Prophet Noble Jew Ali, to be able to help ones to contain some of this, lower self-demonstration that would make ones regret this. You feel me? And when ones is just, selling themselves for so cheap. And then now on the flip side, I'll never forget this. I'll never forget this as long as I live. The elder, the general, Eric Bozeman. It was about 16 years ago. We was sitting in the cell and we was having a conversation about how we was going to get out and we was going to demonstrate the revolution. Because, I was on, that's what type of time I was on when I first joined the Moorish Science Temple of America. I was one of the radical moves. I was on some revolutionary stuff. And we was talking about, how we was going to put my celly, he used to be a stripper back in the day. So I said I was gonna put my celly in the cake and send him to the Congress, let him jump out the cake with two Macs and shoot the doggone Congressional Hall up. This was the joke. And we was all laughing and the brothers was talking about, yeah, and we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that. And then I looked around the room and I realized that every single person that was in that room with me had a life sentence. And I got so sad, I left out of that room. I went back in my cell, I put my sign up, I sat down and I started crying. I started crying because at the time I had a whole lot of time left, but I was going to go home and I was never going to get the opportunity to sit down as a free man and have these type of conversations with these brothers. And it just hurt my heart because of what they was pouring into me at the time. Okay. And then later on that night, I had a conversation with the elder and he asked me, he said, man, why did you leave out the room?
The original issue.
And I told him because he had recognized that I had got sad. But he told me this. He said, Mo, he said, I'm gonna get out of here one day. He had double life plus 20. He said, I'm gonna get out of here one day. He said, I'm gonna get out of here the right way. He said, when they locked me up, they took $30 million worth of cash from me. He said, so they know I got plenty of money. I done had money. I'm not for sale. Anything that they can offer me, I either had it already or I don't want it. All right. This was a brother, a real man, an elder, a teacher, somebody who was like a father to me, sitting here telling me, and I knew without a doubt or a contradiction that what he was saying was true. I am not for sale. I am not for sale, period, whatsoever. So that demonstration, if don't nobody hear no other part of this podcast, I hope and I pray that you listen to that part, because know that them ones who you got in your circle right now, who you have allowed in your circle, who call themselves real niggas, the realest niggas, they for sale. They for sale. And they'll do anything to get that money, man. They'll do anything. They say it all the time. You know, anything for $1, anybody can get it. You got a joker running around here sitting next to you talking about anybody could get it, but you gonna keep on riding with him. You tripping.
That's right. That's right.
Islam.
Islam.
Islam. The greatest salesman of all time. They'll sell themselves out. Islam. Sell themselves short. I'm gonna keep it going with the mission of Maurice Pennington Bad. Definitely got something for the Grand Governess.
Islam.
Sister K Glover L. Sometimes my nigga acts like he's my brother. My brother never acts like my nigga though. Sometimes my nigga acts like my brother. My brother never acts like my nigga.
Yeah. These are the two selves, right? So you got the higher self and you got the lower self. And, you know, one thing we can always say about the higher self is that truth never changes nor passes away. Right? That's the higher self. The lower self, we know that's an illusion. So my nigga is an illusion. No, my nigga is not the actual end product. You know, many of us go through this my nigga stage, right? Many of us go through I'm the realest nigga stage. Praise Allah that many of us got out of that stage or is working on getting out of that stage before you know, our time was called where we no longer had the opportunity to be able to rid ourselves from being the realest nigga. Because if we keep it real, you know, that's one of the things that these last couple of generations have prided themselves to be the realest nigga of them all. You want to be the baddest, the boldest, the loudest, the most aggressive, right? You want to be seen all the time because this is what the nigga produces. The nigga does not produce anything that is going to bring you longevity in life other than a prison sentence or life ending itself. Islam. So when you talk about my brother never acts like my nigga. You know, but the reason why my brother never acts like my nigga is because my brother isn't my nigga. No, my brother, my sister is the one who is always there, the one who is lifting me up, the one who is always reminding me where we came from and how much longer we have to go. You know, a brother and sister is the one that's going to be there for you in the deepest and darkest times, right? My nigga just don't care. Islam, I yield.
Islam, upon the body real quick, brother Shay Ray. Upon the body real quick. You know, this is the part, you know, I be having to remind myself to tell everybody. Like it, share it, subscribe to it, you know, especially. As a matter of fact, not especially, only if you think that what we saying is some good stuff and is meaningful and it's impactful and other people need to hear it, then share it with them.
That's right.
Subscribe to it and listen to it all the time. All right? Straight up. All right, brother.
Islam. Islam, as the Grand Governor said, you know, making that comparison between my nigga, first of all, being the lower self and my brother being the higher self. You know, my brother's made up of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, the highest principles known to man. And my nigga is what my brother is not. You know, and sometimes he can come in the semblance of my brother. You see what I mean? And it's kind of like life in and of itself. It's kind of like just us sitting here right now. Man is not the body, but we appear to be. We appear to be. And take note of these words. Appear to be. Seems like. Would have you think so. And if you don't know better, I promise you it won't go better. You know, and so when we're talking about my nigga versus my brother, we have to understand the power of a names. The word names translates as nature. And when you're proclaiming a name, first of all, you're giving honors to he whose nature you share. And you have to understand that nigga was never meant to replace your nature, because not even the pale-skinned nations of Europe governing portions of North America at this time thought that their arms were truly stronger than the great God Allah's. But theirs was to change your mindset and make your actions more advantageous to themselves. Get you to believe that you were something other than yourself, and then you could be useful to someone other than yourself. See, remember, my brother would have me to be myself. My nigga, this man, when I say nigga, I'm also speaking of the manufacturer of it. My nigga would have me to act in a way that was advantageous to my nigga. These are names given to you by slave holders in 1779 and lawfully lasted. Don't get this twisted, because a lot of people think nigga went out the window in 1865. No, it was just it was finally declared. It was finally declared that this was an unlawful epithet. This was an unlawful status. And those who would continue to hold on to this status as if it was something to be prideful in, as if it was something of value, were considered outlaws, were considered incompos mentis, meaning mentally incompetent in the eyes of the law. And one of the number one suffrages of someone who is deemed to be mentally incompetent is their loss of the right to inherit. The loss of their right to inherit all that their forefathers have left for them. All of the works of your forefather and your foremother. When you proclaim yourself to be a nigger, you go contrary to the laws of honoring your forefathers and foremothers, and therefore you cannot inherit what your forefathers and your foremothers' legacy is. Land, nationality, divine creed, the ability to understand and know the great God Allah. To put pride in something that is truly of no value is called vanity, and nothing blinds the inner eye like vanity. This is why a nigga can't see himself. This is why a nigga always knows of all things but his own ignorance. This is why niggas boast of the attainments of things where there's no value, but where it is a shame to be ignorant, there he has no understanding. This is why a nigga reaches in the shallow stream of his mind while the brother can search the entire ethers, while brother can open the pages of the book of Allah's rights. You have to understand that every time you say I am and put the word nigga behind it, you're proclaiming that you are of the origins of when that became people's titles. This is slaveholders. Stop loving those who had no concern for love, true peace, freedom, and justice. Stop loving those who had humanity in their hands but had no mercy. Stop loving them and love yourself. Islam, brother, I love the brother's portion. The brother, the chairman, Noble A. Griffin Ill, and I definitely wanted to ask the, see what the brother had to say with this. My nigga is always introducing ideas that stir hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. My brother is more economical with his powers of influence. My nigga is always introducing ideas that stir hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, shame, disappointment, regret. My brother is more economical with his power of influence.
Wow.
Praise Allah for you say right here. Beautiful questions, more.
Islam.
The nigga, first of all, what power does a nigga have? First of all, power is but an illusion and shall pass away. A fool is always starting over. A nigga is a fool. Right. And so every day the nigga has to come and introduce more folly and more disappointment and more death and more destruction in the gas of some so-called power. Lewdness, murders, theft, and everything that harm. Well, we know the grand governors came on and said the nigga versus my brother versus my nigga. My brother's the higher self. My nigga is symbolically the lower self. And in the teachings of the prophet, Noble Drew Ali, he says the lower self breeds. Islam, the lower self breeds slander, lewdness, murders, theft, and everything that harms. So what I'm saying here, Moors, and some of my so-called real niggas, they might be watching Maurice Pennington Bay's podcast, the Divine Podcast. You, my nigga, are a breeding ground of what you profess is so powerful within inside yourself, which is ultimately your very own weakness. You, my nigga, are a breeding ground of murder and death and lewdness and rape and ignorance and everything that harms. Case in point, what has a nigga ever produced but a baby nigga? What has a nigga ever produced but a baby nigga so he can grow up and think he has some nigga power and terrorize our decent neighborhoods, to come around our innocent and pure-hearted children, to influence them and to breed hatred in their thoughts and mind state and process to be a rapist or a killer or a drug dealer or a gangbanger. Because the nigga is like a weed. When he gets his vines on his grips around you, he chokes you to death. He kills you. Then you resurrect as a nigga. Niggas are dead, but multiply at the same time. Figure that out. So they don't die, we multiply. Well, niggas are dead, that multiply. Because again, the lower self breeds. The lower self dies. It is not alive. It is not a thing where it will live forever. It is an illusion. But it is death. But it is death that does what? Breeds. So with these niggas around, these real niggas around, we have a society that's going to continue to breed and manifest death and destruction amongst our young Moorish children. And that's a no-no. So you can kind of see why certain people want to extinct niggas. Islam, they're no good to themselves. They're no good to their own mother. They're no good to their community. But again, there is a God, a Father God, Allah. He does forgive. And you can't join the Moorish Science Temple of America. Because with us, all members must proclaim their nationality. And we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government. And that they may know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because those names are slaves. My nigga, you have a slave name. You have a slave name, my nigga. Those names were given to slaves by slave holders.
That's right.
Islam, who wants to be a slave? You would say, not me, nobody. So what are you doing, nigga? Listen to the energy of how I say this, nigga.
That's right.
You a nigga. Yep. That doesn't even sound the least bit of good or respectful, right? You some nigga. Come here, nigga. Get that nigga. I'll kill these niggas. Islam, I mean, we all know what we need to do. We all know right from wrong. You see, but you got these grown men and these grown women out here who have been so allured or enamored or captivated by the street life or some fast money or lazy mental states where they don't want to study, they don't want to read, they want to do nothing. And this has become a disease and a sickness within their mind state. And they let this niggerdom breed and infest inside of their hearts and minds. Islam, so let's not be niggas. I hear the floor.
Man.
Islam
is
all praise be to Allah. I definitely yield to
all
the
praise be to Allah. Islam, we the host. Hey, listen, y'all. We could go on.
This is a blessing. This is a blessing. I won't lie. I want to say this. There was a time in my life. Islam.
Go ahead.
Okay, I would say this. There was a time in my life, all praise be to Allah, that when people saw me coming, as opposed to saying, "Oh, there goes, Brother Rael," they looked over and they said, "Here comes that nigga," and as I grew in consciousness, all praise be to Allah, because the gifts of the understanding are the treasures of Allah, and He makes the appointments. No wonder why in the Holy Quran of Mecca, and we have it as the revealed word of Allah, no wonder why it's instructed that, Allah guides whom He will, and He leaves astray whom He will, and so in the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, we have that same underlying principle, where, these gifts of understanding are the treasures of Allah. And so it's really humbling to have an understanding where I can reflect and see myself in these different lights, and there was a time where people saw me and they cringed, like, here comes that nigga, as opposed to someone that looks over and says, man, here comes my brother. You know what I mean? And I'm sure I don't speak just for myself when I speak, for even our sisters. You know what I mean? The sister Kay Bay, she put in, and I give honor to the idea. She threw out there the idea that, maybe there needs to be a segment speaking about my bitch versus my sister. And it's a shame because,
right.
People use that terminology when they see their sisters.
That's
you
right.
Can't even get onto this plan. I mean, people have made a whole bunch of electronic mechanisms here and there, but the bottom line is, you mean to tell me that the spirit, a part of the great God Allah, although it comes from His ordinance, cannot pass through onto this physical plane unless it's through, these queens of humanity. Right. And the best thing we can think to call them is some what? What I mean? Right. Like, so right. All praise be to Allah for my ability. Now, me personally coming up, that's one thing I didn't do, But make no mistake about it, just because you don't call a woman a B out of your mouth doesn't mean that you haven't been just as disrespectful to her. So I was highly disrespectful to my sisters in the past, just with my actions, not necessarily always my words. So, this ain't a holier than thou and things of that nature. But my point is this, those actions are summed up by the nature of that word. You don't have to call her that in order to treat her like that. You see what I mean? And so, and when we're using that term, that's also a reference to the queens of the universe. If you come, if the living thing comes into this universe, it comes through the womb.
That's right.
I give high honor to womanhood, and that's the bottom line. So, honors to the sister K Bay for that suggestion. But it feels really good to be able to put pride, or AKA recognize value in something that is truly of value, meaning of the most valuable, the most high. So when we say things like El and Bay and things of that nature, we're putting out honors and proclaiming to be attached to the truth. The truth is but one, thy doubts of thine own raising. And so all praise be to Allah for everyone in the movement, all of the Moors, wayfarers, sympathizers, plain old seekers after the truth, and honors to all of you, you brothers, and you, sister, the Grand Governess K. Glover L, for being on this podcast. And it's an honor just to be sitting here with, you brothers and you sisters as well. Islam, I yield.
Islam.
Islam. Great bill with the Moors, my niggas versus my brothers. I'm honored and praise Allah for being in the presence of family. Allah is the Father of the universe.
That's right.
Prophet Noble Joe Ali wanted us to show us, that it ain't no place like home. There ain't no place like home. And with that, the brother A. Griffinil, he told y'all what y'all need to do. You tired of them niggas, man. The Prophet Noble Joe Ali said, if you have race pride and love your race, then join the Moor Science Temple of America. All praise due to Allah for our
and
I'm gonna say it again. This is the most underrated. This is the most underrated member of the Moor Science Temple of America. I mean,
man, you better say it.
Like I said, it's almost sinful that y'all don't know this more. It's almost
Listen,
we're gonna see.
That's right.
If a nigga had on good shoes, listen, if a nigga had on good shoes, he mad. He mad. A nigga's mad at A. Griffinell right now. If a nigga had on some fresh white tennis, A. Griffinell put footprints all over those. He said, "What is that? Man, that don't sound so." You can hear certain words come out of some people's mouth, but you be like, "Man, that ain't good." Just because he said it. There's a lot of people today. After this podcast, there's gonna be a lot of people today that this is the way I'm gonna proclaim my nationality because this nigga ain't good.
That's the way he said it.
Islam.
He made it sound like it is.
Just the way he said it.
Exactly.
Somebody needs to say it like that. Stop acting like this is cool. Ain't nothing like a cool fool.
That's right.
Cool. I like that. Islam.
And with that, y'all, hey, y'all know how it go. Praise Allah for the master students. And
Allah.
Understand. Before we go, let me let everybody know what it means to be a master student. It means to be forever humble to the truth. Forever humble. Forever modest enough to understand that there is so much to be learned.
Man.
And to have that willingness and to be diligent and industrious, like the Prophet Noble Joe Ali said. He told the children to be industrious, which means to be diligent. He pointed out in the Master and the Servant that we are studious to his interest, the one who we serve. Okay, we serve Allah, y'all, and we are studious to his interest. We are the master students. Y'all heard everything y'all will hear from us today, y'all. Peace and love.